from the palace only, been conducted by them. And it's when you do the boat ride, they will going to take you to a beautiful island. It's known as Jagmandir Island, which is again quite an early 17th century structure. And it's termed to be as one of the, what it's termed to be in terms of the, one of the important nowadays as a wedding destination, because Udaipur is also getting bigger in terms of weddings, as it's gives you a beautiful view, a scenic, and also, as I told you previously, that it's also termed to be a city romantic. So that's the main source, and that's what people generally want to do. The boat ride changes. It's quite serene, especially when you are into the lake. You won't see, you can't hear any sort of noises, but yes, you can see, because during the time of winters, it's also become a popular place for the migratory birds coming around, and one can see those birds like pelicans or different storks, you can say, or cormorants and coots all around the lake. So it's quite beautiful during that time.
So the Jagmandir Palace also is a small hotel, right?
It's a small hotel. It's mainly used as a more like a term to be as a restaurant. So of course, it's a nice place to visit. Actually,
it's more like a boutique hotel.
It's a boutique hotel. Yes.
Yes. Yes, I've had many very interesting rides to this place, and I can vouch for the experience, which is truly ethereal and breathtaking. Now we come to the city palace. You will get two views of the city palace, and this is the hallmark, or like the most important place. The Taj Mahal of Udaipur is the city palace, which took 400 years to build, and 22 generations were involved in building this city palace. It was built by the Sisodia Rajputs, and the work started in the 16th century. And you see this very beautiful palace that is situated at a height of 1700 feet at an elevation, and also has 11 smaller palaces within its courtyard. So it's very interesting, and it's a must-see. You can spend half a day inside this very beautiful palace. And I will move to the next slide, and Vaibhav will take you on to the entrance part of the city palace.
So this is the beautiful entrance to the city palace. This picture been taken from what termed to be as Badi Pol, which is one of the oldest gate also, which is dates back from 1616. And what you are looking at, Tripolia, they are more been into construction into 1713. And then it leads to the main grounds of the palace premises. As I told you, as he already mentioned, that because 22 generations actually taken part in terms of construction of this palace, that suggests you that it's never been constructed in one time. It's keep on added on by the different descendants. So the main, what you can say, the feature to this whole palace complex is, of course, architecture. Or you can say it's more in terms of amalgamation of architecture, which taken place from different influences also. It has a typical Rajput style of architecture. It has a Mughal influence of architecture. Later on, it has a European influence of architecture, or what you term to be as, you can say, more like a colonial architecture, where some of the buildings been constructed in 1900s also. So, of course, it's a beautiful thing, and to visit around, and it's been constructed on a small hillock. So at certain point, you won't see the, it looks like a part of the wall being to hide the hill actually. And they constructed in such a manner, it doesn't look like, it looks like a building, but it's actually to hide the hill. They constructed a facade to give a stronghold to the upper structures. So it's very beautifully been done and constructed in that time.
Okay. In fact, the city palace is
Yes.
also has some Chinese influence, Chinese architecture, there is medieval architecture, and there is European architecture. That's
Yes.
what is written about it. And I think since it took 400 years, the architectural styles have kept on changing, depending on the influences of the rulers, wherever they had the influences. This is a little bit like the Shekhawati region of Mandwa and Fatehpur in northern Rajasthan, where the rulers depicted their trips or travels abroad on the walls of their houses and their buildings I think you've seen the famous Shekhawati paintings
Yes.
of this Mandwa and Fatehpur region. So there is no denying that all people are influenced. Like influence is a very important point whenever it happens, and all these things are ultimately seen in houses, in homes, and as you know, by Indian standards, the homes and houses are very important for all of us, and we want to make it as beautiful and pretty as possible. I'm sure you will agree with it. This is a little bit about the city palace. We have some more pictures. I will show you some more. Uh, this is the outer walls. Are you referring to these outer
Yeah,
walls?
this is what I was talking about, because you can see in this picture at the top, you can see a tree
Correct.
coming around. So that shows you a quite an interesting thing, that there is a small hillock and they just hidden it with a wall constructed around, and then the upper story being constructed, where it's very beautiful garden palace, which is also
Okay.
very popularly known as Badi Mahal. So it's quite interesting, and it also gives you an ample opportunity to get the view of the city, because this is the
Okay.
highest point which is been pointing on this picture.
Okay. So this is something to do with the construction of the outer walls. We'll go inside, and now we come to this thing about the miniature paintings. Now, this particular palace has got various rooms, different theme-based facades, rooms that you will see. And one of the most interesting things that I would like to know from Vaibhav is about this miniature paintings, and it is very typical to Udaipur and the parts of southern Rajasthan. Can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah,
the
this is
miniature paintings?
what the picture we are looking at. Of course, these paintings being started from Krishna temples, and very close to the Udaipur, there is a very popular Krishna temple known as Srinathji or Nathadwara. And from there, a very well-known tradition being started, which is known as Pichwais. Pichwais are actually the paintings being done on the fabric, which goes into the back of the statue of the Krishna figures. And later on, they become a part of the for the rurals also to made paintings depicting their scenes and court scenes and things, and they are termed to be as miniatures. The reason behind it, not because of their size, they can be very big, but the reason they are termed to be as miniature because they have details. And one of the interesting feature to the Mewar art school is that it actually tells you a story. It's been in a like a sequence, where you can see the if you are looking at a wedding procession, it tells you how the procession actually been started and finished. So it tells you in different position of the same person. You can see in different figures at the same time all around the painting. So that tells you a lot of idea about what was going on and how the things used to take place. And especially the colors they are using it's all mineral, the stone colors, which is very much been abundant around the city, as it's surrounded by the Aravalli mountain ranges, which is one of the oldest mountain chain of the world. And because of that reason, we get a lot of minerals around here, and they are using those minerals as pigments and things for the colors. So it's quite an interesting thing to visit. That's one of the important art school also, Mewar Art School, and it's still very popular around the area.
Correct. This is something, sorry. This is something that we are finding very typical to Udaipur. And, the detail is very fascinating that you can see. There is so much of detail. And it is basically done on fabric, right, Vaibhav?
They can be done on fabric. In olden days, they used to do on ivory, which is now they won't do that. They use more like a resin nowadays.
Correct.
Yeah, this painting, especially what we are looking at, this has been done on paper, which is
Paper.
termed to be as like rice paper or things like that, which they are using it. So it
Correct.
can be on three medium: paper, fabric, or any sort of resin.
Yeah, this is very colorful, and I think one of the reasons for visiting the city palace is basically to have a look at some of these most fascinating miniature paintings.
Exactly, because they dates back from early 17th century.
Correct.
Some of the paintings, so it's quite interesting to see.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is the More Chowk, and this is one of the most fascinating rooms. I think it is called More Chowk. It is where you can see this peacock. I think it's made of glass beads, and it is you see embedded. So it is not a painting, but it is more like a glass bead formation. And this is one of the, when you come to the end of your visit in the city palace, it is the place where you come and stand and take a picture. This is called More Chalk, right, Vaibhav?
Yes, it's very popularly known as Morchok. What you are looking at, like a mosaic formation or glass inlay work. This is again dates back from late 18th century, early 19th century things, and it's very interesting because these are actually the pieces of glass which they have used, and it's very well known as thikri work, which literally means like a vestige or broken pieces. So it shows that it's more like a style of local artists or the artisans who were working on it. When these Belgium stained glasses came to India, they were quite big pieces and they need to be fixed into the screens. And before that, they used to cut into different shape. And whatever leftover, they started using to make these beautiful mosaic work, which we are looking at. It's very popular peacock courtyard or the Morchok, which is also very well known in those days to inviting and meeting the royal guests and even to have a meal along with the royal guests. It's a popular place, even to see the performance of the dancers and the musicians. King used to use this courtyard.
In fact, this is one of the special places called Morchok. This is the cow courtyard for. Besides this, there is also the Palace of Glass and Mirrors. There is
Yes,
Palace of Pearls. There
that's
is
true.
something like a Surya
Yeah,
Chapari.
Surya Chopad, yes, where
Chopar,
they
yes,
have the
and
sun emblem.
yeah, where the sun emblem is correct.
Yes,
So this city palace is actually one of the most well-kept places or museums that I have come across. And one of the good things about this palace is that the entry fee is, I think, same for the Indians, foreigners.
for exactly.
There is only one entrance fee, so which is quite nice, so that everybody pays the same standard fee to enter this place.
Yes, sir.
Uh, and you see, I think there are two hotels within this city palace complex, and also
Yes,
the Maharaja lives there, so it's a living palace.
yeah, it's a living palace. So you can, like one can if he is lucky enough, he can see the prince or the Marana walking around the palace premises. So you can be a part of that visit also. So it's quite interesting because just because when we talk about one of the biggest palaces, it's been divided into four parts. Like you already mentioned, two hotels. Then they have the royal residence, and the biggest and the oldest part is the museum, which generally people visit. But at the same time, as I told you, like because they are looking after the administration, the royal family, so you can see them walking around them around. So it's quite a simple life they are leading, the royal family actually.
And if you want a royal experience of staying in a palace hotel, then these two hotels which are within the palace complex, they are called the Shivnivas Palace Hotel and the Fateh Prakash Palace Hotel.
Exactly.
These are two places you can stay, and these are actually staying inside a palace hotel. That is an original palace hotel.
Yes.
Uh, if you want to compare, then there are a few hotels in India where you can be actually staying in a palace, inside a palace hotel. One is the Umaid Bhawan Palace Hotel in Jodhpur. One is the Lalita Mahal Palace in Mysore. So there are not many palace hotels where you can actually stay inside a palace hotel, because some are recent buildings which they give it a name as palace, but they are not exactly the palaces of the olden time. So this one is one where you can stay and have a feel and experience of living inside a palace itself. So that's the beauty of Udaipur. That's the beauty of Rajasthan. In fact, most of the havelis and mansions have now been converted into small home-run hotels, homestays, and you get a lot of very beautiful experiences when you return back. This is our small group. Actually, Lorient Travels, we do groups from different parts. We are having a group here at the Lake Pichola Hotel, which is the banks of the Lake Pichola and where I took the previous